Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. This is your girl Jen, Sister Jenny, Auntie Jenny. And if you want to get formal, this is Miss Jennifer Frederick. Another edition of the We Talk the Thing. People, today is Monday already, the week. We're almost over just now, Just now is Independence Day. Then we have Republic Day. And then I think we're coming up to Diwali. And then after that, we're going to have Christmas. And then the year will be over. And then it's a new year again. People, time and tide waits on no one, but your real Jen. I was waiting on my peeps. People, today is World Steel Pan Day. So we're doing it nice and sweet for the pan. We start the thing right. People that was St. Margaret Boys RC Steel Pan Orchestra. I know Member of Parliament Stuart Richard Young, that is one of his he has a passion for St. Margaret's Boys RC. He's always there with them with the steel pan and the competitions. In fact, all these schools in Port St. Anne's West that have this steel orchestra. And MP is always there with them. You see him pulling pan, you see him there with the children. So that one was for him because I know he really liked that school. He's affiliated with the school. So let me continue. People, we have the pledge. We'll find it here quick. So the front is steel in your Rookcung, Kertungcung. If you don't like the steel, you can't take the jamming. Wine to the side without even 5%. What's your 10?
I solemnly pledge to dedicate my life to the service of my God and my country. I will honor my parents, my teachers, my leaders, and my elders, and those in authority. I will be clean and honest in all my thoughts, my words, and my deeds. I will strive in everything I do to work together with my fellow men of every creed and race for the greater happiness of all and the honor and glory of my country.
People, as the pledge, and I always like to listen to the voices of the young people, the children, because teach the children and they will retain it and they will do what is right. Teach them the right thing. So as I said today, Steve will pan there and let me talk the thing. I just being all the things. So I'm reading something here from Nallis, and it says historical development of the steel pan, an introduction there. The steel pan is the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago. It is the most important acoustic instrument invented in the 20th century. The steel pan owes its genesis to the Carnival Festival of that era. It emerged as a product of the energy of the people directed towards cultural expression. The steel pan therefore became a cultural vehicle forged from the historical and social conditions prevailing at that time. Its development was molded by the ethnic influences of our heritage. Historical development. Carnival celebrations in the late 1800s were marked by disturbances, which prompted authorities to prohibit the unlicensed playing of all percussion, string, wood, wind instrument by way of legal ordinance, and woodwind instruments by way of legal ordinance. This led to the development of the tambu bambu as a musical instrument. The tambu bambu was made from bamboo cut to various lengths, and a song was produced by stamping onto the ground. Carnival celebration in the 5 decades from 1884 to the late 1930s witnessed the growing rhythm of tambu bamboo musical ensembles in street processions with accompanying brass and string instrumental bands. Several problems with the tambu or with the bamboo material, including the tendency to splinter easily, resulted in experimentation with other materials such as metal containers to produce various sound effects. These experiments resulted in the discovery of the steel drum, since it proved to be more durable than other material and capable of greater tonal versatility. This drum, originally used to store petroleum, evolved into the steel pan by making cross sections cut into the 55-gallon metal container. Through further experimentation, percussive sounds of various pitches were produced by indenting and tempering the concave metal surface. The steel drum, therefore, was used in the creation of what is known today as the steel pan. And although there have been several competing claims to its invention, it is generally accepted that the steel pan was made first around 1939 in Trinidad and Tobago. Carnival of 1940 witnessed the first public appearance of the steel pan, and it has since evolved through the ingenious innovations of various contributors. These innovations have resulted in instruments of different tonal ranges, which now comprise the musical ensemble of the modern steel pan. The steel pan has risen from the deprived urban tenements of Port of Spain, where it was forged, to acceptance and promotion by the international community. What has brought this instrument forward onto the world stage was the devotion, talent, and industry of its early followers. This is a significant achievement in the face of the financial obstacles and disdain by society for the thuggery and violence once associated with it. That's just something there from Nallis. Let me read this here because this is steel pan education for who didn't know. Well, they will know today. So there was a steel pan. Just a minute. Just a minute. What's happening? Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Right. This is about ESO Trinidad Steel Band. The group began in 1942 as the Tripoli Steel Band, named after a lyric in the United States Marine hymn. In 1951, the group came under the leadership of Hugh Ward, who directed an ensemble to greater technical skill and established them as contenders in local carnival competition. In 1964, the group won the Steel Band Music Festival. The following year, the Petroleum Corporation, SO, began sponsoring the group. So the name of the steel band was Tripoli, and I think that was the first sponsored steel band in Trinidad and Tobago. It was sponsored by ESO. ESO was, I think, into the Petroleum Corporation, right? began sponsoring the group, who renamed themselves the SO Trinidad Steel Band. Under SO sponsorship, the group grew to 28 members and was outfitted with uniforms and new instruments. And in 1967, they appeared at the Montreal Expo. The band performance, the band's performance at the expo led to a record contract with ARC Songs, a label based in Toronto. Following this, Warner Brothers Records picked them up, and Van Dyke Parks produced a full-length album, which was released in 1971. The album was nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Ethnic of Traditional Recordings, but lost to Muddy Waters. Soon after the release of the album, ESO canceled its sponsorship, so the group rechristened itself the Trinidad Tripoli Steel Band, and under this name, toured internationally with Liberace. Parks, Parks recorded a 1 hour documentary of the group's tour and called them the greatest group I've ever had the privilege to produce. Hubert and his family moved to Michigan in the United States in 1976, after which the Trinidadian group disbanded. But Bald's sons played under the name Trinidad Tripoli Steel Band in the United States and released the album Momentum in 1985 and Hot Like Fire in 1994. When steel bands started to get their names, like Renegades and Desperados and all that, they started to take the names of like movies now. Sometimes they say, like Desperado was a movie, Renegades, and there's so much other. But if you go back in Tokyo, if you go back and you were to look at the names of the steel band, then those names came out of an era of the cinema when they started with cinema and see all these Western and those kind of things. And that started the whole respectability of the steel band coming out of the era of the stick fight, band clashes and the jammets and that whole era. So the next stage was when they started to name themselves with these different names from these different movies and thing. And then after, when ESO had sponsored Tripoli, Dr. Eric Williams would have encouraged other transnational companies that were in Trinidad to sponsor steel band. And of course, they would have got to some concession or something. So steel band sponsoring was encouraged by Dr. Eric Williams because he wanted the steel band movement to come up to par. And I will show you evidence of that as we go along. So this is SO Steel Band playing Cecilia. That's how way back this thing was. While the quality may not be fine as clear as we want it, it's part of our history and today's World Steel Band. And I'm going from as far back as I can and bring it forward. So listen to
music is so universal that even though we cannot speak to you all really, we can make our music do the job.
So that was SO Steel Band, Trinidad Steel Band, and all those are Trinidadians. We're out there doing it. And I don't know what them people in the crowd was dancing to, but Papa, we were out there. And then after SO sub-sponsored them, they went back to the original name Chopoli. So listen to them here now. Today's Steel Pan, they go learn something. If you didn't know, well, now you know.
One of the most unusual and exciting sounds in the world is the music, in the world of music, is the sound of a steel drum. And the foremost masters of that Caribbean sound are my next guests. So please welcome the Trinidad Steel Band.
It's not much, but it's home. Isn't it nice? Nice lineup here we've got. And a lineup like this, a sensational looking stage like this, could only be the responsibility of one man. Let's welcome him now. Mr. Showmanship himself. Will you welcome him? Liberace!
So nice to be back.
Nice to have you back. Welcome.
Well, you know, thank you so much. I got letters on the last show. They said you weren't fancy enough, so I thought I'd wear one of my outfits.
It's beautiful. Do you think it's nice, quiet, understated, beautiful? It really is. What's it made up of?
It's made of Oriental obi cloth, and then it's embroidered and jeweled after that.
Tremendous. I loved you at the Empire Room. It was a fantastic.
Thank you.
And I saw the Trinidad Tripoli Steel. Well, explain to them about.
Well,
you discovered them, didn't you?
Yes, this is the group that I discovered at the Expo in Montreal, Canada, in 1967, and they were so fabulous. They were the hit of the fair, really, that I invited them to tour with me, and they've been with me about a year and a half, and they present one of the most exciting musical performances of its kind in the world of show business, I think, today. And it's so unique and different. I've discovered that the music of the steel band has only been around since after World War II, when the island of Trinidad was practically swamped with empty oil drums, such as you see here. And the people of Trinidad put these oil drums to a very good use. At first they beat out rhythms on it, and then, as you notice, some of the drums are shorter than others. That changes the tone of the instruments. So I'd like you to hear how they sound individually, first of all. The basses sound like this. Those are the big drums. And then there's a little smaller type. They become the cellos because they have a little higher pitch, the cellos. And then the ones that are sort of cut in half become the woodwinds. And and the still shorter ones are the strings. Now, the way they would sound all together, I think, is best described in a very exciting number by Khachaturian called The Saber Dance, conducted by their musical director, Mr. Hugh Bordy.
People, that's our own steel band there. See how long we outside there, and who is Liberace, for those who may not know. Liberace was an American pianist, singer, and actor. He was born in Wisconsin to parents of Italian and Polish origin and enjoyed a career spanning 4 decades of concerts, recording, television, motion pictures, and endorsements. At the height of his fame from the 1950s to the 70s, he was the highest paid entertainer in the world, with established concert residencies in Las Vegas and an international touring schedule. He embraced the lifestyle of flamboyant excess both off and on the stage and never publicly acknowledged his sexuality, which was none of our business. So that there is Liberace and our own Tripoli steel band was there touring. And you hear so magnificent. You see how they loved our steel band. Liberace could have understood the tone in the musical artistry. He understood all that even at that time in the evolution of the steel fan. And they want to know where pan reach. So listen to this. Steel pan sponsorship in Trinidad and Tobago became prominent in the 1960s, with Texaco being a major early sponsor according to Trinidad and Tobago Newsday. This tradition continued with subsequent energy companies like Petrotrin, but has recently faced changes. Most recently, BPTT has become a significant sponsor, formalized as the Steel Pan Ambassador for 2025, according to Pan Trinbago Facebook page. Early sponsorship. Texaco initiated a trend of significant state oil company sponsorship of steel band in the 1960s, a practice later continued by Petrotrin. Pan Trinbago, the steel band governing body, had been actively seeking and securing corporate sponsorship. BPTT role. It said BPTT has taken a prominent role, becoming the official steel pan ambassador for 2025, according to Pan Trinbago. BPTT is sponsoring the medium and large conventional band semifinals, not known as the BPTT Savannah Party, now known as the BPTT Savannah Party. Overall corporate support. Pan Trinbago has highlighted the importance of corporate support for the steel band movement, noting that they rely on events and sponsorship rather than government subvention. Some steel bands like Desperados have maintained long-standing relationships with sponsors, such as the West Indian Tobacco Company, according to a post. Other notable sponsors, Massey Group, has also been involved in supporting the steel band movement and art, including sponsoring production like Steel by Derek Walcott. And we know Massey is who sponsors All Stars. Yeah, I think they still do sponsor All Stars. And we have the Renegades. I think BPTT is their sponsor still. So PAN has gone to different places, but it has always gone somewhere and it has always been on the world stage. Back in those days, and now, even with even more improved sound, we have gone even further. So let me just play this for you to tell you how serious the People's National Movement took the steel band movement.
To assist steel bandsmen to identify the special nature of the business relationships which should characterize the steel band as an artistic, commercial, and industrial enterprise. To impart to steel bandsmen the basic principles governing business organization and practice, and to develop in steel bandsmen an awareness of the role of law and legal sanctions in commercial and industrial activity, with special reference to contracts, agreements, and contractual obligations.
On behalf of the staff of the Personnel Department, I extend a sincere welcome to you all to this brief but significant formal ceremony for the launching of an introductory course in business administration for members of the steel band movement. Without in any way wishing to be invidious, may I, on behalf of the staff of the Central Training Unit of the Personnel Department, specially welcome you, Mr. Prime Minister, and the members of the steel band movement to this center, each for different reasons, of course. This training center, situated in the scenic environment of the historic Northwestern Peninsula, was opened by you, Mr. Prime Minister, according to the records of my department, on May 20th, 1968.
I'm very glad that Mr. Cupid has indicated to the members of the steel band movement the scope, objectives, and operations of the Central Training Unit. I think Mr. Augustus of the Steel Band Association and his colleagues will now understand why it was that I insisted, when we were discussing the question of implementing this principal resolution of the steel band consultation, this resolution that comes from the steel band movement itself about the course of training, that I insisted that it should be done here at the Central Training Unit, and that we must stop this idea into which a lot of people outside of the training unit are drifting, that the training facilities and requirements of one group of people are something, and for another group of people it's something else, and that is reflected in different locations. At all levels you have lack of training, inefficiency in management. The requirements are the same, even though the jobs might be different. And above all, the mentality with which the different groups approach the question is the same. So we bring you up here, and if it's too hard for you, it shows you how far you have to go up. Is that clear? You come down here where everybody else comes. And I do hope, Mr. Augustus, that after all the noise you made about this course, we'd have a dedication from the steel band movement in respect of this training course, such as we associate with their sessions of music when they're playing for carnival, they're playing for panorama. You can't have dedication in one field and then something else. If we could only get, as I said repeatedly, the sort of attitude that the population as a whole has to the entire carnival celebrations, if we could have that throughout the year, Trinidad would be and Tobago would be the richest country in the world. Here's your chance.
Yeah, people say, see how long the People's National Movement have been advocating and in the corner for the steel band music, the steel pan, elevating the steel band from what it was before, during the time of these band clashes and stick fight and all. That is an important part of our history to it, but that is what brought this whole thing forward and the Tambu Bambu when they would have passed laws in this country, the colonial slave masters would have passed laws in this country against us with percussions and playing music and all that, and we turned to the Tambu Bambu. But then because of the strength or the weakness of the bamboo, they had to look to other stuff, and then they started to use then covers and stuff to give it that tonal song, and then it went on. So it's an evolution of the steel pan, and I wanted that just to bring it to everybody, because when we were speaking about making the steel pan the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago, it was getting a lot of pushback from some persons who felt that it should have been the tassa being also the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago. But when I play that clip with Tripoli Steel Pan with Liberace at that show, their focus was on the steel pan, not the tassa drum or the African drums. Yeah, a different type of drums. I'm saying all this to show the history and the evolution of the steel pan. So the steel pan deserves to be sitting a cloth above the rest, being the only musical instrument created in the 20th century and created right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Not discounting any other musical instrument, but understanding the context. I'll have to start to say just now, if you're not mature enough to understand my conversations, then you will always be in a situation where you find a racist and a racial and a this and all that. But if you're mature in mind and thinking, and you're confident with yourself, whatever ethnic group you're part of, you will not have a problem with the things I'm saying. So let me continue. Today's World Steel Pan Day. How did things start? So listen to this.
The announcement of the declaration of World Steel Pan Day was made on Friday through the United Nations Department of Global Communications by the spokesperson for the President of the 77th session of the General Assembly.
This is going to be followed by action on 2 resolutions. The first one would create a new international day. If approved, 11th of August would be observed as World Steel Pan Day. And a steel pan is a musical instrument that originates in Trinidad and Tobago.
Minister of Tourism, Culture and the Arts, Randall Mitchell, is expected to speak at the UN sitting in New York on July 24th. He will lead a delegation that includes Pan Trinbago President Beverly Ramsey Moore, panist Ray Hallman, and a National Steel Symphony Orchestra representative. Minister Mitchell says he's honored to be given the opportunity to attend the UN's General Assembly to place before it a statement and a resolution to be adopted for the recognition of World Steel Pan Day. He says he expects the declaration of World Steel Pan Day will highlight the humble beginnings of the steel pan and of our forebears, the inventors and developers of steel pan, and throughout its development journey.
The steel pan, as we know it, is not just recognized for its sweet melodies or for standing side by side in world-renowned orchestras, such as our very own, the National Steel Symphony Orchestra, but it is also recognized as an undeniable symbol of positive socio-economic impact for communities, not just here in Trinidad and Tobago and in the Caribbean, but the world at large. It is recognized as an instrument that brings together society, brings together communities, while at the same time it presents economic opportunities for all the participants in the steel pan movement.
Pan Trinbago has declared August as Steel Pan Month and has scheduled a parade through the streets for Friday, August 11th. President of Pan Trinbago, Beverly Ramsey Moore, says the work to have August 11th declared World Steel Pan Day began in 2019, and she's certain that the resolution will be passed.
When you think of our instrument, our national musical instrument, that we said it came from behind the bridge, and now it is on a world stage where we have over 40 countries with steel band. And so I think that it is fitting for that day in particular, where the 11 represent 2 pan sticks, and the 8, of course, represents 2 notes in the pan, or we can say the double second pan. So it is fitting, and I really look forward to the celebration.
Cabinet in September 2022 approved that an approach be made to the United Nations to adopt a resolution that World Steel Pan Day be declared as August 11, 2023, and annually thereafter placed on the United Nations calendar of World International Days. Karen Cozier-Phillip, TTT News.
I have here from Daily Express, July the 25th, 2023. Trinidad and Tobago kindly requests the support of all member states for this draft resolution, which would recognize August 11th annually as World Steel Pan Day. So said Culture Minister Randall Mitchell yesterday as he concluded his address to the United Nations General Assembly in New York, delivering a statement to buttress his request to have World Steel Pan Day celebrated on August the 11th each year. And his request was successful at the UN General Assembly, as the UN General Assembly later announced that it had declared World Steel Pan Day as August 11th, saying the draft resolution was adopted and will be annually observed on the UN calendar. The draft resolution received a co-sponsorship from 84 member states of the General Assembly. Mitchell led a TNT delegation which included Pan Trinbago President Beverly Ramsey Moore and veteran panist and arranger Ray Holmer. The story of the steel pan in Trinidad and Tobago is one of resilience and sustainability, Mitchell told the General Assembly. He said through innate creativity and resourcefulness, the evolution of the pan took flight from humble beginnings in the urban working class communities of Laventille in East Port of Spain and rapidly gained widespread appeal and acceptance. For the people of our nation, Trinidad and Tobago, the steel pan represents more than musical versatility. It is emblematic of artistic excellence, community empowerment, endurance, self-determination, community, culture, heritage, and identity, and not least of all, national pride, the minister said to the UN. Not surprisingly, the enticing energy of pan music saw it adopted and replicated throughout the Caribbean, making it a common offering at tourist resorts and even at most remote getaways in the Caribbean. Mitchell said the pan emerged in response to the suppression of the use of other musical instruments, and its conceptualization began from the recycling of discarded metals such as milk cans, garbage cans, cover, and oil drum by underprivileged Afro-Trinbagonian youth for use in the annual carnival parades in the early 1900s. He said as the musical complexity of the carnival parades evolved, larger 55-gallon oil drums were used to replace the earlier metallic objects and smaller drums. These larger oil drums allowed for more musical notes and more complex melodies, making the steel pan the only acoustic musical instrument invented in the 20th century. Following naturally was the rise of the steel pan, which is an orchestra comprising the tenor pan, the double tenors, the double seconds, the double and triple guitars and triple cellos, and the 6 9 and 12 basses, essentially a family of steel pans being played by a group of musicians known as panists, he continued. We have now arrived at a pivotal point in the journey of the steel pan, and we hope that the international community can envision the positives of this musical instrument in the context of sustainable development as we do. The ubiquitous nature of the steel pan, its versatility, and its ability to cross over several musical genres, but most importantly, its proven ability to bring people together and to build intellectual understanding is testament that there are no limitations to confine the trajectory envisioned for the steel pan, he added. Mitchell recalled that in 2019, Port of Spain was designated as UNESCO Creative City of Music for its creativity through the steel pan as a strategic component for sustainable urban development. He said it was irrefutable that the pan meaningfully contributes towards the UN 2030 agenda and its sustainable development goals, specifically in respect of the maintenance of good health and well-being, providing educational opportunities, particularly for those children and youth that may not be academically inclined, promoting gender equality, and fostering sustainability within and among communities. Mitchell said in 1999, the government established the Trinidad and Tobago Steel Orchestra and later in 2007 upgraded this organization to the National Steel Pan Symphony Orchestra. In 2006, the G-Pan made from durable high-grade steel sheets was developed by the University of the West Indies in collaboration with the Office of the Prime Minister. The steel pan industry is far-reaching and is heavily dependent on the integration of a variety of sectors such as tourism, culture, trade, and education. Therefore, the manufacturing of the steel pan worldwide is a means of economic impetus, requiring both skilled and unskilled labor in its production. Mitchell also spoke of Panorama, the ultimate steel band competition. And he said some universities in Europe, Canada, and the United States have academic programs dedicated solely to pan music. Mitchell thanks the UN member states, that's United Nations, member states, especially those who had joined in co-sponsoring the draft resolution. Referring to Calypsonian merchant song, Pan in Danger, Mitchell said he believed that if merchants, Dennis Franklin Williams, were alive today, he would be confident that with the adoption of this resolution, the pan continues to rise in its Senate. So that was the then Minister of Tourism there, Randall Mitchell, presenting before the United Nations General Assembly. Coming out of that, we have World Steel Band Day being August the 11th. And it gets even better. From that now, because I give you from the beginning as far back as I could find, and I bring it forward now with the steel band. Now, if it had back and I go through to the place and the numbers will be all up. All you have to start is, oh God, I love a little bad, you know. Where is our bacchanal? Everybody there, you know. Sometimes we need to just dress back and just take in the information that you could learn a lot from that is not always political. But I have a surprise for you. Yeah, I still have a little something. So like plenty of it, go and close the fridge, tell somebody for you have a little something to drop. Just a little something. So this was July the 4th, 2024. In a resounding tribute to cultural heritage and musical innovation, Trinidad and Tobago's parliament has officially designated the steel pan as a national musical instrument. This landmark decision not only celebrates the steel pan's significant contribution to national identity, but also acknowledges its global influence, making Trinidadians worldwide beam with pride. On Wednesday, the 3rd of July 2024, the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts announced the passage of the National Musical Instrument Bill 2024. Minister Randall Mitchell, who spearheaded the debate in the House of Representatives, underscored the steel pan's cultural and historical importance. The bill provides for the designation of the steel pan as a national musical instrument of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Minister Mitchell proclaimed cementing the steel pan's status as a symbol of national pride and cultural expression. The steel pan, heralded as one of the most significant musical inventions of the 20th century, originated in the vibrant communities of Trinidad and Tobago. Its development is a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of its creators, who transformed everyday material into instruments of exceptional musicality. Winston Priest Simon, a pivotal figure in the steel pan development, crafted the first true steel pan in the hills of Laventille, Port of Spain. His pioneering work, alongside contributions from other visionaries like Elie Manette and Tony Williams, turned discarded oil drums into instruments capable of producing a full range of musical notes. The steel pan journey began long before its modern form, rooted in the early carnival celebration of Trinidad and Tobago between the 1838s and 1883. Skin drums played a central role in these festivities. However, a ban on drum beating in 1884 led to celebrants to seek alternatives, leading to the creation of the tambour bamboo bands, which flourished until the 1830s. By the 1890s, my mistake, by the 1830s, leading to the creation of tambour bamboo bands, which flourished until the 1930s. By the 1930s, inventive Trinidadians began using metal containers for the music. In 1935, the Gonzales Tambour Bamboo Band introduced a bass can during Carnival, sparking widespread experimentation with metal containers. And by 1939, bands comprised solely of pan began to emerge, marking the birth of the steel band. World War II brought further innovations with Carnival Celebration Band from 1942 to 1945. Experimentation with steel band continued. In 1946, Elie Manette made a groundbreaking change by using a 55-gallon steel oil drum to create a concave playing surface, significantly enhancing the instrument's sound quality and durability. During the 1946 Carnival, Winston Priest Simon showcased the steel pan's potential by playing complex pieces such as Schubert's Ave Maria and the national anthem, God Save the King, to an elite audience. This performance signaled the steel pan's arrival as a serious musical instrument. The Musical Instrument of Trinidad and Tobago Limited has been instrumental in promoting and preserving the steel pan. MIDCO initiatives ensure that this national treasure receives both local and international recognition through educational programs, cultural exchanges, and international tours. MIDCO has brought the captivating songs of the steel pan to global audiences. Today, the steel pan is celebrated not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but across the globe. Steel pan ensembles push the boundaries of the steel pan, performing everything from calypso to jazz to classical music in countries such as the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, Switzerland, Japan. The steel pan journey from the streets of Laventille to concert halls worldwide is a testament to the creativity and the spirit of Trinidad and Tobago's people. With over 190 steel bands in Trinidad and Tobago and more than 800 globally, this unique musical heritage continues to flourish. With its official destination as the national musical instrument, the steel pan embarks on a new chapter in its storied history. This recognition not only honors the past, but also paves the way for future generations to explore and innovate within its rich musical tradition. As we celebrate this momentous occasion, we pay tribute to the pioneers who forged the path and to the musicians who continue to inspire with the captivating songs of the steel pan. This recognition brings immense pride to Trinbagonians worldwide, showcasing the vibrant culture and enduring legacy of Trinidad and Tobago on the global stage. The world will forever recognize the steel pan as a symbol of Trinidad and Tobago's enduring cultural heritage. Let us revel in its achievement and continue to support and promote the steel pan, ensuring that its melodious tunes resonate for generations to come. So people, tell me where pan reach, it reach. So I was reading from a book called Forged from the Love of Liberty, selected speeches of Dr. Eric Williams. And as I opened, this is what I saw. And this is to the children of Trinidad and Tobago, dedicated to his Dr. Eric Williams, message to the youth of the nation's independent youth rally, Queen's Park Oval, the 30th of August, 1962. This is what he said. And so I say to you, young people, forward to independence. Do not allow anyone to disrespect our national flag. Do not allow anyone to destroy one single national bird. Do not allow anyone to desecrate our national anthem. They are your flag, your birds, your anthem. It is your nation, even more than it is the nation of your parents. You are the future. We are the best. We are at best the present, at worst the past. To your tender and loving hands, the future of the nation is entrusted. In your innocent hearts, the pride of the nation is enshrined. On your scholastic development, the salvation of the nation is dependent. So that there were the words of the late great Dr. Eric Eustace Williams, founder of the People's National Movement. And as we speak in youth, and we speak in steel pan, because today is World Steel Pan Day, listen to some of our youth as they played. This was the Charms of Naps Combines. I think that they were in 2023, I think it was. And then we would hear the 2025 school steel band, secondary school steel band winners batch. So let's take in a little naps. We'll see band. Yes, so they were the champions of the secondary school Panorama 2023. That's Naparima College Boys and Naparima Girls High School. And I remember I went down, I was on the Panorama and I was filming that. And it's the first time, I'll be honest, that I've ever seen Naparima or so many, Naparima College, and so many children of Indian descent playing the steel band in one band. I'll be very, very honest. I think that's what attracted me to go on to see, hey, what's this? And ask them of the school, and then they told me and all that. And when I watched them playing and I saw the love for the steel band, how they were excited, they were energetic, they were dancing all that. I said, look at that. I said, the steel band, this music, look how it have, it doesn't matter what ethnic group that you're part of. Once you know it and you learn it and you play it and those sticks in your hand and just the vibes and the energy, it's something music can transcend ethnic groups and ethnic race and all those things that come with that and racism and all that. And then when you leave that space, those elders and them come back, some of them, with that talk in your head and stuff. But at the panorama there, everybody mixing as one. So I remember them because I really enjoyed that song, and I was not surprised when they won because I was listening to them when they were practicing. And then we had the champions of this year champions is match. I think that's his Bishop and C and Trinity. I think it is from the East. So let's take a listen to this. People, this is World Steel Pan Day. Let's give respect to our national instrument and enjoy it. And as Dr. Ike Williams would have said, and what I read here, it's about the youth. We handing it over to them. And they have to show up and turn up, but we must also instruct them in the right way. So let's listen to that. That there was Bishop Anstey and Trinity East. They are this year's winner of the Junior Panorama. So people, that was my tribute to World Steel Pan Day. And I think it was important enough to do something on it because that is our national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago. And we must give respect to those who would have toiled, would given their blood, sweat, and tears. In most cases, not for money, but because they have this love and this passion and this creativity within them and this fire to put something there to create something, and we have to do the steel pan. Well, as Mr. Former Minister of Tourism would have said, Randall Mitchell, is a part of our cultural expression. It comes out of us, it comes out of our history, our trials, our tribulation, but it's also a part of the economic side of things, carnival, panorama. So it is just, it's multifaceted. And the UN, I'm happy that the minister at the time, along with the president of Pan Trinbago, Beverly Ramsey Moore, got the opportunity, and Ray Holman, to go to the UN, the General Assembly, and speak on behalf of the steel pan and get all those nations to sign on to that draft, that to make the World Steel Pan Day one particular day every year. I'm happy that they were able to convince that assembly about the importance of the steel pan, and coming out of that, Trinidad and Tobago finally, under Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, the musical instrument bill came to Parliament and it was passed. The steel pan is our national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago. Winston's Priest, Simon, any man netted. That I think Bobby Muhammad, if I'm not mistaken, and Jud Samaru, and so many other arrangers. Hammer, the man with the hammer. Oh gosh, the one they used to call the man with the hammer now, from up Lavental there. Oh God, how the name can come to me, and so many other pioneers. I'm sure they must be smiling, even if it's just for that, to see that the steel pan is actually now the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago. So let me continue with a little something. The pan finish, the pan side finish, I pay my tribute. Let me bring a little kuchu because all they love the kuchu. So last Monday, a conversation started surfacing that Mrs. Joan Newell Williams would have gotten some correspondence via text message, telling her basically not to come back to General Council and whatever other meetings or whatever. And it is said that she would have told somebody, because feeling hurt, of course, I'm sure she would, because she has always been there. She's a staple. She's a stalwart to the People's National Movement. And even though she may not be an active member of General Council or anything, she's always there. So I'm sure getting that conversation or WhatsApp or whatever it was may have made her feel a type of way. I'm going based on the conversation that would have been spoken after. She would have reached out and spoken to somebody who would have, you know how conversation does go. And it became a national topic. Not, let me just say a national topic. It came out in the national space since last Monday. Conversations were held on Facebook, social media, and on the radio. And it was only until Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 days after the PNM, this one team, because that's what they label themselves, one team. I just say what they say. Would have put out a statement via the public relation officer, Paris Alwari, to the fact that it didn't happen. Basically saying it didn't happen. That didn't happen. And if you're saying it didn't happen, it means to say that you all are saying or alluding to that Auntie June, as the affectionately call her, is lying. Or the person who would have said she told them that lying, and everybody else lying, and you all are going to tell the truth. But if Monday that was out there all that time, and everybody was lying, then you should have alerted the national community about the situation, everybody lying. And then we had one former councillor by the name of Wendell Stevens. He put out Facebook posts alluding to the fact that this is quote unquote normal, that you do get these text messages to your general council member and it changing over and all that. And I was like, okay, so he's basically saying, okay, then she really probably did get a message. But then again, I'm saying to myself, she's not a general council member. So then why the need to send her a message? So everything started to get murky, right? Papa, on Facebook, it have this particular guy, I understand is a young guy, taking on an elder, a woman, and when he join with the woman, I come to hear that he's a friend of the person who is the person's daughter, who is the chair of the Women's League, and that's my all kind of, and I said to myself, that is true. Why you need to take up that fight for young good? Come on now, man. Come out of that if them want to take on the elder, the female elder. Let them take her on with you as a young fella, because I understand it's allegedly person in the youth league. What are you taking on the woman for? That making you look good in this girl eye or in our next woman eye, that you as a man taking up woman fire age? That ain't looking good, it is sounding good. And his conversations went on to be very disrespectful and continue to be very disrespectful. Let me see if I find something here. Very, very disrespectful. Just give me a minute. I should have really looked for it first. But let me see if I get it here quickly. Very, very disrespectful individual. If it's a young man, even worse yet. I don't think you are the type of young person that Dr. Eric Williams would have spoken about when he would have said young people to take up the mantle. Yes, so this is what this young guy would have written. Speaking about Auntie Joan, he said, her usefulness expired many years ago, and Joan needs to stay out of PNM business now. She is a walking analog of the disconnect voters felt between them and the PNM. It's just like her to make a big deal out of a non-issue. She has been costing the party's voters for about a decade. You won't see that. You won't see this because of your own, as a person you join with own personal agenda against the PNM. But I guess anybody can type anything on Facebook. And I want to tell this young chap, Dr. Marilyn Gordon is older, I think, than Joni Williams. And she was at an event on Saturday, and the young people were excited and interested in listening to what she has to say. So I don't know where it come to all here that the elderlies or the elders who are in the PNM bringing any disconnect to the members or the young people. I think what is happening, the disconnect is coming from what is this one team, what it represents, and the behaviors, and they influencing others. I think that is where the disconnect is coming. Because on the ground, people are hearing, but where is the information to give them to hear? The disconnect, not from the elders it coming, it comes from a poor ass, weak ass social media and PRO and communication and education who hold those offices. Is that where the disconnects come from? Because if people are educated by knowing what is happening in the PNM, what the PNM means, what it brings, what the PNM has done, continue to do, and the education of it, and the PRO speaking on those things, there wouldn't be such a disconnect. There will be a connection because young people understand, hey, GATE is because of the People's National Movement. Hey, this is because of the People's National Movement. Hey, all the policies he enjoy because of the People's National Movement. But there was a disconnect because they're not getting the information. So the people who were tasked with doing the jobs, it may not necessarily just be this crew or the crew before, whatever. They have done a poor job at doing it. So that the disconnect can come from having elders in the People's National Movement. The disconnect comes from not getting information coming out from the People's National Movement by the people who are tasked to put the information out there. The disconnect comes from party groups that are not functioning the way that they should. And again, that has to do with education. That has nothing to do with the elders as such. Communication, because if I'm a young person and I'm reading this message that this young person would have put up here, that will disconnect me from anything with them, because I'm going to say, what kind of thing is that? And if you could disconnect or you could disrespect an elder like that, how you just treat your mother, how you just treat your father, how you just treat your grandmother, your grandfather, your great uncle, your uncle, how you just treat women, if that is what you're doing. So it's all that disconnecting people from the People's National Movement, not the elders. It's the elders holding it together for the People's National Movement. And as already said, in this past election, a particular member of parliament said in front of his constituents, I call the person and the person confirmed me, because I said that can't be true. That he don't like old people. He don't like old people, he wants young people. And it's the old people who save his ass, because he only win that seat by 200 and something, and a newbie, a newcomer for the UNC, almost cut his ass. And we didn't see that person going around and campaigning. No way, that's a name that just popped just so. So it's a good thing for the old people. And it's the old people who just go out in their numbers with a walking stick, the wheelchair, and don't matter what, to make sure they vote for the People's National Movement, the old people. We have the PNM in office right now, and just continue to come out religiously to vote for the People's National Movement, not the young people. So when you disrespect this young fella, the elders in the PNM, and talk about a disconnect and they should go and they ain't serving no purpose, you're fast and out of place, because what purpose you serving? What history you bring into the PNM? What experience you bring into the PNM? How much youth you could bring into the PNM? Where could you go and have a conversation in a space that will encourage young people or anybody to join the PNM? So when all that talking, all that talk, look at all this self first. Don't live in denial, because this PNM that it have here now, I will say it and continue to say it, can attract nobody to join this particular PNM. Not the way them going at all. And then I want to make out, in my opinion, I give in here, as though something is wrong with Ms. Joan Williams and that she lied. This is my opinion, that she lied. It make it even worse, because I heard her on some newscast or something, and recanted. Why all you have the woman in that position? I give an asking a question based on my opinion. Because in my opinion, I believe that she got a text message. And why I believe that? I believe it based on this. Based on this, I believe it. Let me see if I find it quicker. Only they want pan bacchanal, Stephen bacchanal. Or they want the next kind of bacchanal. Okay. Let me see if I find it here. As I say, I've given my opinion. And as I say, I believe it based on this. Because I understand it was said Ms. Williams was not pleased with how she sees the way the internal election was going, and she may have voiced her opinion. And listen to this.
Attention. Close ranks. To those who don't, those who can't, must fall out or must be thrown out. This is a pitched battle which the General Staff, our General Council, must direct. There is no room for guerrillas or individual heroes. The shock troops must be maintained by supplies behind the lines. Everyone must be at his best, carrying out instructions, working for the whole and not any part thereof. There is room neither for the halt, nor the lame, nor the blind, nor for putting the deaf ear to instruction. Tonight, I issue the call through this convention. The PNM expects every party member, man and woman, to do his duty. Tonight, I give to the party members a 6-point code of responsibility during this period. First, you must be loyal to the ideals and program of the PNM. This is more than a question of lip service or of signing an application form in which you pledge to uphold the ideals and programs of the movement. You are false to your pledge to uphold the movement. You prostitute its ideals and subvert its program if you indulge in the intrigue, the faction, the mauvais langue which have reared their ugly heads in the movement.
Right? Because her mommy and daddy probably will the PNM to her. So she can speak about child people and child, because basically saying if you don't agree with them, you're not loyal to them, throw you out. So when I hear that Ms. Joni Williams got a text message telling her to come back to General Council meeting, was easy for me to believe that based on their behavior, especially during the internal election. But I want to show them something before them come at a PNM, and it's these people who build the PNM for them to come now to try like if they want to mash up PNM. So this is the Ms. Jonian Williams who they're treating so disrespectfully, in my opinion. The woman had to call on radio, they called she on radio to say she didn't sting it, and why are they making her go through that? If you all put out a notice stating you all didn't send her any message, why are you putting her through the indignity of having to answer reporters and not leave it alone? But the more it looked a little porn and porn, it looked as if something was really there. This is the woman who, this fella, talking about past usefulness and have a disconnect. It's them causing disconnect and causing the party to lose election for decades. Really? How much decades the PNM lost election for? The PNM was in office for 10 years. 2015 to 2025. They lost 33 and they came back. Prior to that, they were in office from the inception of Dr. Eric Williams and independence straight down to 80-something. So what decades and decades are losing election? Really? Let me show you this bit here. That year is Senator Joni Williams, deputy political leader of the People's National Movement, and speaking there, reflections at the 50th anniversary of the National Women's League. And this is what she had to say. That is when PNM had women who were deputy political leaders and spoke with dignity and respect. People listened. This is what she had to say. Commemorating 50 years of existence in the political arena of Trinidad and Tobago is a feat worthy of much celebration. This achievement indicates not only the strength of the party which gave birth to the organization, but also the tenacity of women who ensured that the People's National Movement Women's League remains a dynamic and forward-looking organization. I wish to extend my sincere congratulations to members of the League and implore you to continue to strive for excellence. After many years of struggle to ensure that women's voices can be heard, women were finally given voting franchise in 1946. That significant event legitimized the involvement of women not only as canvassers and voters, but also gave them the authority to become electoral candidates in what was deemed then a male-dominated space. In 1956, when the party faced its first general elections, women were not represented in the parliament or in the Senate. However, the omission served to the to the impetus for advocacy on the part of the League and ensure that even women are included in the candidacy for the local government and general election. We have now moved from one woman in Parliament in the 1961-1966 term. In the Senate, we have seen a similar trend with 4 female senators now serving the 2002-2007 term. As we celebrate our achievement, let us not forget those foundation members whose hard work and dedication have kept the League alive. Politics can sometimes be seen as challenging and often a daunting pursuit, yet these members persevered. I wish to recognize the support of the male members of the party who ensured that the Women's League's goal and objectives were given priority. I also wish to compliment all those men and women who ensured that all institutional structures and barriers which can mitigate against women participation in the political process have been removed. You are seen as one of the key groups of the party and much depends on you. The future success of the organization, however, can only be assured if you encourage other women, especially younger members, to avail themselves for candidacy in the election process. The organization must continue to serve as a training unit for aspiring politicians, and every effort should be pursued to make the environment attractive and comfortable for meaningful participation. You have done it and you can do it again. Once again, congratulations on the 50th anniversary. You have done us proud. As you move towards your next 50 years, I wish you God's richest and most deserving blessing. Let us together join in celebrating a golden legacy. That dear was Senator Joni Williams. And I wonder if she knew how much years later she would have got a message to tell she know better to come back General Council. Or it would have some young man writing on Facebook talking about how she old and how she is a disconnect from the for voters and all that. I wonder if she would have envisioned that. I wonder if this new chair of the Women's League understand the importance of a Women's League. You know how important they were? There was not a joke, you know. That Women's League wasn't telling people to troll people and who is gorilla and who is that. They wasn't doing them thing, you know. Or it's just a dress up and a thing up nice and a little tea party so and Greta meet so and all that. They were doing work, you know. They were doing serious work, you know. They were training women, you know. They were getting themselves involved with Mrs. Marilyn Gordon, who was one of the youngest members of Parliament, and she was also the chair of the Women's League. They were involved in the school feeding program, Woman Kitchen Cabinet. They were instrumental in the food feeding school food feeding program. They also are part of the breakfast share. They have been instrumental in a lot of things that women will evolve and get in come into the PNM or the mover from the days of Miss Tisha and all that. What will your legacy be, Madam New Chair of the Women's League? Who is alleged to say people jealous because of the space in it? What will be your legacy in the Women's League? What you'll be able to bring to the Women's League? That today, I believe, my opinion, that all they could write a message, text message to tell Ms. Joni Williams, who used to be a senator, was a deputy political leader of the People's National Movement. Don't come back to General Council meeting because now she own and have a little nasty, snotty ass boy. Must he carry PNC fraud? Yeah? I'm gonna mess up the pandy to talk about she disconnect and all. All go stay young forever, all is Dracula. So all go stay young forever. I hope all could stay young forever and really never get old. Because I'm gonna tell all something, the same all treat Auntie Joni Williams and treating the elderly, people go treat all worse than that. So have it there. The PNM had a rich history. I don't know if these people who they don't want to mash up that history. Let me read again what Dr. Eric Williams said, a man ahead of his times. This is the message he said for the young people. So this young fella who talking, they like, he knows nothing about the history of this country. This is what Dr. Ike Williams said again, and I'm going to leave it at that and take us out with some pan music. People, I will be on tomorrow, God's spare, because on Wednesday, I will be unable to do a live. So tomorrow I will come with the real politics and the bacchanal what they seem to love, right? Today was dedicated to World Steel Pan Day, and I'm with the history of the PNM too. So this again is what Dr. Ike Williams would have said to the children of Trinidad and Tobago at the National Independence Youth Rally. He was an elder and he went to the youth rally, 1962. He said, and so I say to you young people, forward to independence. Do not allow anyone to disrespect our flag. Do not allow anyone to destroy one single national bird. Do not allow anyone to desecrate our national anthem. They are your flag, your birds, your anthem. It is your nation, even more than it is the nation of your parents. You are the future. We are the best. We are at best the present and at worst the past. To your tender and loving hands, the future of the nation is entrusted. In your innocent hearts, the pride of the nation is enshrined. On your solistic development, the salvation of the nation is dependent. I wonder if you little snotty nose, dirty mouth boy, little boy, you ain't no man, you're a little boy, if you know anything about that, to talk to disrespectful about Ms. Joni Williams, who have contributed. But then one other deputy political leader old too. Or they have no problem with that. In fact, the two deputy politicals are old. So they have no problem with that. Well, you're sick, yes. But again, as Dolly say, your friend Mora say, throw them out. Throw them out. So let me see who again they go throw out. Are the People's National Movement. And what about it? Say, oh, because it's them own. Them belittles, them own. Let me see all who here today. People, as I say again, tomorrow go spare. I will come with the bacchanal. Today was a little more mellow, but once you talk a little piece of political thing, hey. All right. So let me see all who here. Let me see if I can see all the quick and call. The letter had right on and lost the paper. I know which part the paper going. I know which part the paper going. So I want the names again. So let me see. Glennis, Diana, Balti, Sarah, Carrie. I write a little bit of names and a thing here. Let me see. Sis, Yvette, Margaret, Dennis, Angela, Rodriguez, Lacroix, Ginger, Lorna, Ortega, Manette, Emmeline, Christopher, Cliffy, Erica, Keith, Charles, Katia, Raymond, Felician, Anne, Zara, Carrie, all those. Yes, they used both, but they used to call them the Fathers Brigade. That moment wasn't easy, that was an army, I swear I used to hear a marching band playing when them in the white and the marching. I sure hear, it was good like that. I don't know what this one reducing it to tell people about who to shout and all kind of stupidness. So let me see all who here on YouTube. So Nayabo, Sedina. Let me see all those two here. Annette. Oh gosh, what's going on with this thing? Chris, Donna. There. Roslyn. Ay. Joycelyn. Listen, everybody. Val. To everybody who here, love you and thank you all for always coming to stay and hang out with me. It's a pleasure. And as I say, look out for me tomorrow, God's spare. When I come back with the thing. I know they like the bacchanal and the kuchunik, all right? But again, I'll say, because bless up the pan, bless up the occasion, bless up the pan, bless up those who would have been instrumental in making it today the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago, and as the People's National Movement. Had the UNC been in office, it will never become the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago. Never. Never. Yeah? We go talk some things tomorrow, Gold Spear. We go talk some things tomorrow, Gold Spear. So let me leave you all with this. See you all tomorrow, Gold Spear, from 6, right? Because Wednesday I will be unable to do a live. Love you all. Love you all. Love you all. And thanks for the support always. Let me take you all out with this one.